Kyle's famous! Kyle wakes up. He is famous. Kyle is the host of the most popular talk show in recent memory, Stay Up Late with Kyle. Stay Up Late with Kyle has grown in popularity quickly in the last year, and the public has noticed. Inside has called Kyle a most excellent dumpy white man. Top Tech noted that Kyle is inspiring youth to explore STEM fields. Most other talk shows are dedicated to discussing Kyle and his personal details. Most online videos are best of clips taken from Kyle's latest broadcast. The eye of the world is upon Kyle. Tonight is Kyle's most important guest interview yet. Stay Up Late with Kyle will be featuring Rachel May. She's a kind and lovely philanthropist. She is dear to the hearts of many. This interview requires preparation. Kyle cracked his eyes open knowing today is his last chance to prepare for the interview. Kyle has 30 hours left. He must choose his actions wisely. Sean Nolan told me how to get batteries for the flashlight, and so that's the first thing we're going to attempt to do is flashlight batteries. Kyle's first decision of the morning was made wisely. Exit the bed. Kyle exited his bed and took a quick glance around his bedroom. Sit at desk. Kyle made his way over to his desk and sat down. Check drawer. Kyle opened up the side drawer on his desk and grabbed one of the items stored there, assorted change. Kyle scooped up change scattered around the desk drawer. Back to desk. Check in drawer. Flashlight. Kyle grabbed the flashlight, but after jiggling the switch, he found out it was out of batteries. Back to desk. Back to room. Exit to bedroom hallway. Kyle walked into the small hallway that connects the rooms of his apartments together. Leave apartment. Kyle walked out into the middle of the road and took a long pondering look around him. Visit the tech store. Yes, thank you, Sean. Kyle walked into the clean white tech store. He was greeted by Technogym, an elaborate cutout mascot with flashing lights. Kyle counted out $1.98 in pennies and nickels and traded them for a small packet of batteries. Insert into flashlight. Kyle crammed the batteries into his flashlight. Back to tech shop. Return to street. Open closet. Kyle opened the closet. It was dark and he could only really see his hanging shirts. Flashlight. Kyle shined his flashlight into the oh, why moist? Why moist? Why is his closet moist? Kyle shined his flashlight into his moist, cave-like closet that had not seen light in years. After several minutes of searching around with the light, Kyle saw something unusual in the back. A small metal box with a large red button sat in the back, stamped with a time travel label. Time travel! Kyle, bored of the situation, mashed the button, hardly reading the label above. The box hummed and shook. The outside metal grew hot and slowly curved in on itself. In a moment, it was early in the morning. Kyle had gained several hours of preparation time. Can I do it again? Open closet. Alright, sit at desk. Check desk drawer. What is the point of that? Maybe if we take it? I don't know what the point of that was. Let's try to, since I don't know what that did, let's try Amnesia as well, didn't I? Force the door with forehead. Kyle walked over to the strange door in the hallway, but found quickly that the door was locked from the inside. Force door with forehead. Kyle decided it would be best to try to force the door open with his use of his face. After smashing his features into the solid wood for several minutes, Kyle gained short-term amnesia. Leave apartment. Let's go. Alright, well, I don't know what all of that did. I feel like I'm like stepping over myself with the story possibilities. Sitting across from his host's chair was a glamorous woman with an air of genuinity. As Kyle approached her, Rachel looked up and smiled. "Good evening, Kyle," she said, looking him in the eyes. "I've been looking forward to being here." Kyle responded, "Forget her name from Amnesia." Hello, you? Kyle's ears began to ring from his concussion. Rachel looked at Kyle slightly confused but continued smiling. Before she noticed the glazed look in Kyle's eyes, the producer approached her. Time to get started, he said, putting a hand on Kyle's shoulders. Let's get situated. Kyle sat in the nearest chair. Rachel, her seat stolen, sat in the host chair. A moment after seating, the studio lights brightened and the cameras clicked on. Start to broadcast. Good morning, everyone, said Kyle. My name is, Kyle made a desperate effort to remember his name, or really anything. Kyle looked at Rachel. Do you know who I am? He asked. Rachel looked back confused. Who are you? Well, if you're not Kyle, I don't know who you are. Rachel smiled sweetly. Kyle made up his mind that he was probably Kyle. Well, he said, I'm Kyle. A long silence followed. Eventually, Rachel spoke again. And I'm Rachel. Hi, everyone, she waved. Hi, Rachel, he said. So why are you here? Rachel was visibly worried. Haha, funny, she said. Were you planning on asking me any questions? I mean, I don't have any ideas, said Kyle. Kyle kept staring at Rachel. Someone coughed. Kyle looked around and noticed the crew. Who on earth are all of you? He asked. Nobody answered. Kyle got out of his chair and walked off frame, leaving Rachel alone with millions of viewers. Rachel started to attempt to entertain the audience herself. Eventually, the producer ended the broadcast early due to technical issues. Kyle woke up in his bed the next day, remembering nothing about what happened. Kyle forgot everything. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We're gonna bring the time machine with us to see what that does, all right? All right. A moment after seating, the studio lights brightened and the cameras clicked on. Time travel with April. Good evening, everyone, said Kyle. Tonight, Rachel and I will time travel together. In one motion, Kyle grabbed Rachel's arm and pressed the red button on the time machine with his elbow. Kyle and Rachel were sent back to a time before human existence on Earth. They were standing next to a large lake. There was a forest behind them full of singing birds. Lizards were everywhere. Kyle, dear, said Rachel, stern but not angry, you can't just do things like that. Rachel began digging in the dirt looking for small, smooth stones. I'm sorry, Rachel, said Kyle. I got a bit ahead of myself. Kyle began helping look for stones. Well, it's okay, Kyle. I forgive you. Rachel took Kyle's stones and started to build a small stack on the ground. Kyle silently began sifting through the sand near the lake to find pure mud. Well, since we're here together, said Rachel, using nearby sticks to build a pyramid around the rocks. How are you? Oh, I'm fine, said Kyle, sticking pieces of shale together with the mud. I've been preparing for your interview all day. Rachel began to bundle nearby foliage into small power cells. Do you love being famous? She asked. Kyle used bones from dead fish ashore to start crafting some energy capacitors. That's an interesting question, Rachel, he answered. There's ups and downs. How about yourself? I think I'd love to be unknown with a loving family, said Rachel. Being so recognizable gets very lonely. Oh, don't I know it? Leave me alone. Rachel started grabbing live birds as they flew by to make a nuclear reactor. Who knew that's how nuclear reactors were made? Splitting an atom. Birds, same thing. I understand that incredibly well, said Kyle, extracting pure hydrogen from the lake using a siphon reed. There was a warm, understanding silence between them. After a few minutes, Kyle broke the silence. Can you pass me the arc welder when you're done? I need to weld these bioreactive plates together. Soon, the pair constructed a janky but workable return time machine. As they climbed in, Kyle and Rachel looked at each other. Both knew they had bonded. With the flick of a switch, the whir of an engine made out of a beaver pelt and some pops, the duo returned home. Later that evening, back in his apartment, Kyle thought about the time he spent with Rachel. He was glad they'd gotten a chance to take a trip together. I really like that. Kyle and Rachel took a trip. That was wonderful. Whew, reset. Let's 0 out of 10. Not enough Technogyms. Let's get Technogym. Exit the bed. Exit to bedroom hallway. Leave apartment. Tech store. Steal Technogym. Quickly, before the attendant could acknowledge him, Kyle grabbed Technogym by the shoulders. Finding that Technogym's cardboard feet were bolted to the ground, Kyle started to pull upward forcefully. After several tugs, Technogym broke free, leaving one foot and one leg behind. Kyle glanced at the attendant, who was staring bewildered, and ran outside. Kyle hurried to the set. "Good evening, Kyle," she said, looking him in the eyes. "I've been looking forward to being here." This is Burp. Burp has commented on 2 of the 3 Kyle's famouses. 0 out of 10, not enough Technogyms. I now understand why. Interview Technogym instead. Kyle roughly shoved Rachel out of her seat and placed Technogym in her stead. "Hello, Technogym," said Kyle. "I'm going to interview you today." Kyle grasped Technogym's hand and tried to shake it, but instead tore it off the cardboard frame. Kyle's producer, sensing viral media, pulled the bewildered Rachel out of frame and motioned to the critical line. The producer knows! Cameraman moved, lights flashed, and suddenly the studio was on air. "Hi, I'm Kyle," said Kyle, "and tonight I'm going to interview a very special guest." He pointed at Technogym using the dismembered arm. Technogym started to smoke from the heat of the lights. "Would you like to introduce yourself?" asked Kyle. Knowing Jim would probably not speak, Kyle took it upon himself to be his voice as well. "Hi, Kyle," he said, raising the pitch of his voice. "My name is Rachel May, and I'm a very special guest." Rachel's expression of confusion turned to shock. "Well, Rachel, you look way too thin and absolutely terrible. And you should feel ugly." Kyle gave Jim a meaningful stare. "Well, Kyle," he said, "I sure wish I could look like you." Technogym burst into flames. Instantaneously, the sprinkler system initiated. Curtains of water poured down from the rafters. Within seconds, the production equipment was doused in water. The set was soon abuzz with electrical fires. Kyle's crew abandoned their posts as cameramen and sound mixers to try to put out the fires. As the crew scrambled around, the cameras continued to run. Kyle sat motionless, staring forward. Eventually, the fires were all put out. Kyle's producer shut off the broadcast, leaving Kyle's vacant stare as the final frame. Kyle's ratings skyrocketed. Technogym became a staple on the show, often ending up destroyed by the end of each episode. Although Rachel did not come back on the show, her cardboard portrayal did. Rachel was very popular. Kyle interviewed Rachel. "Yeah, you're right. Not enough Technogyms." I think what we can do is, here's what I'm gonna try to. All right. There's 2 things. Sean also mentioned scavenging for bugs. We're gonna scavenge for bugs, and we're gonna take those bugs to work with us. Scavenge. Kyle quickly crouched down on the floor, realizing his immediate need for bugs. Kyle started to pick between the fuzz of his bedroom carpet, hoping to catch a stray beetle or 2. Soon, he had a small handful of various insects, dead and alive, saved for later use. Kyle stashed the wriggling masks for later use. Yeah! Now we're gonna get dressed, eat, and I'll meet you at the studio. Well, I'm sure we'll have lots to discuss, so we might as well dive right in. "I'm very ready," said Rachel with a winning smile. No notes. Oh! Knowing he had the eyes of millions upon him, Kyle came up with a solution quickly. I thought it was going to be the same. Boy, did I act too soon. Produce ball of bugs. "Well, Rachel," said Kyle, "I wanted to show you this." Kyle produced the ball of bugs he had accumulated from his bedroom floor. Rachel took several beats to figure out what Kyle was holding in his hands. A look of horror crossed her face. "Kyle, what on earth is that?" she asked. "Is it alive?" Maybe," said Kyle. "Here, watch this." Kyle, staring at Rachel, opened his mouth wide and slowly inserted the gooey ball of bugs. Rachel watched, obviously unsettled. Kyle began to chew very slowly and intently. Attempting to swallow, Kyle coughed several times, covering Rachel in partially chewed bugs. Rachel sat stock still, processing what had happened. Kyle finished swallowing and opened his mouth to show that there were no bugs left. "Well, that was satisfying," he said, smiling widely at the camera. Rachel got out of her seat and left the studio. Kyle prepared by eating bugs. Oh, that was good. Let's see if we can't defeat Rachel. Kyle exited his bed and took a quick glance around the room. Sit at desk. Kyle made his way over to his desk and sat down. Write notes for interview. Kyle wrote down his first question. Is your mother a mother? Kyle wrote down his second question. Beef, mashed or blended? Kyle wrote down his third question. Do you ever smile? Kyle wrote down his last question. Are you guilty? Kyle ripped his page of notes out of the notebook and got up from his desk. Back to desk. Back to room. Open closet. Choose an outfit. Suit of armor. Kyle wasn't sure of what exactly caused him to decide to wear his armor, but it felt like the right thing to do. After much squeezing and sweating, Kyle managed to wrap the metal suit around his dumpy self. Now we're going to exit the hallway, check the locked door. Kyle walked over to the strange door in the hallway, but found quickly that the door was locked from the inside. Float through as ghost. Kyle used his ghostly powers to walk straight through the door. Go inside. Kyle found himself in the room he stashed the various items sent to him by fans. Get laser claymore. Expecting a battle, Kyle grabbed the laser claymore. Not mine, sword! Laser claymore, sword. I was thinking claymore. It's a sword. He grabbed the sword. This is how you beat Rachel. Booyah! Kyle motioned to Rachel, who smiled and waved at the camera. Hello, everyone, she said. I'm glad to be here. Well, I'm sure we'll have a lot to discuss, so we might as well dive right in, said Kyle. I am very ready, said Rachel with a winning smile. Kyle produced the notes he had taken earlier. Beef, mashed or blended? A burning question from the fans, said Kyle. Beef. Do you prefer it mashed or blended? Rachel answered quickly and honestly. Mashed. And no more was said on that matter. Kyle asked another question. Do you ever smile? Like, seriously? Kyle spat the question out viciously. Rachel stopped smiling. If you're gonna be on the show, you need to smile, okay? Said Kyle, not smiling. You're here to get views, and you'll get more views if you smile. Here, I'll show you how. Kyle turned to the camera and gave the audience a huge, teeth-clenching, bug-eyed grimace. Rachel nodded, obviously wanting to move on. Kyle asked another question. Is your mother a mother? So, said Kyle, my mother is my mother. My mother's mother is her mother, and my mother's mothers, and many mothers have mothers. Mother's mother. Is your mother a mother? Rachel went to answer and stopped. I believe, she said eventually, that I should answer yes? Kyle asked another question. Rachel, are you guilty? Kyle threw his questions on the floor, stood up, and pointed at her. Rachel's eyes twitched. Guilty of what, dear Kyle? She smiled disingenuously. Guilty of your crimes! Rachel did not answer. Her eyelids both started twitching uncontrollably. Call police. Kyle pulled out his phone and dialed the police. Hello, police, said Kyle. I believe I found a criminal! Rachel began to run towards the exit. On her way, she swatted Kyle's phone out of his hand. Tripper! Kyle stuck out his leg. Rachel stumbled and crashed to the floor. In a moment, she was on her feet. She drew a blunt weapon seemingly out of thin air and started to swing at Kyle. Before Kyle had a chance to react, a figure burst through the roof and blocked Rachel's attack. It was a middle-aged woman in a bug-shaped mask. She was brandishing a bug-shaped stick. The woman began to fight with Rachel, flicking her weapons back and forth at a surprising speed. Rachel tried to fight back, but it was obvious she was no match for the interceptor. With one quick move, the bug vigilante drew her foot high above her head and drove it straight into Rachel's hand. The weapon clattered to the floor. Rachel attempted to run again, but was met with a stick to her legs. She fell at the feet of a police officer just arriving from Kyle's call. Rachel was charged with 7 cases of grand larceny. After her first month in jail, Rachel started a reality TV show filmed in her cell about prison cooking. The show gained immense popularity, and somehow the public began to love Rachel all the more. Kyle made guest appearances on Rachel's show many times. The identity of the bug vigilante was never known. She remained a mystery, but important part of local law enforcement. Rachel started a new show. We did beat her. Heck yes! Alright, everybody, this has been Kyle is Famous. If you want to see the last 4 endings of Kyle is Famous, hit that subscribe button. If you laughed and had fun and enjoyed this, hit that like button. If you have any comments, suggestions, tips on how to get the ending, because no spoilers, just general tips, leave those in the comment section down below. And if you share this video, any and all of that would make my heart go Good old Gabby, you know? She's coming to the rescue. Coming to our rescue. Gabby. Wonderful. And as always, have an amazing rest of your day. It's because I consume Gabby. And here's your heart and your blinking. Bye.